This is my audience, Abby and Danny. According to an article on CDC.gov, reducing and eliminating the diseases that vaccines prevent is one of the top achievements in the history of the U.S. Here in the United States, we take for granted the protective measures we have available to us. So many parents are choosing to withhold vaccinations from their children that could potentially save their child's life. My name is Anna Kate Snipes, and today I'm going to be speaking on why children should be vaccinated as babies. We have so many vaccinations readily available to us here in the United States, and we should take advantage of these. I'm about to be in nursing school, and we have studied on the effects of this topic in one of my classes. I have become very interested on how we can help these children who cannot make these decisions for themselves. Children who are not vaccinated pose a risk for catching and spreading many of these deadly diseases. With mandatory vaccination, we can eliminate this problem. I believe that children should be vaccinated because without vaccination, children are a danger to themselves and to others around them. If vaccination was mandatory, the country could help diminish the fatal effects of these disease outbreaks. First, I'm going to speak on the dangers that come with a child who has not been vaccinated. When a parent chooses not to vaccinate their child, they are putting their child in grave danger. Here's a picture of a child with measles, and as you can see, their back is broken out in a horrible rash. Measles is one of the most contagious diseases that there is. When you have measles, you have a bad rash, high fever, and a bad cough. And like I said, measles is one of the most contagious diseases that is out there. According to Measles and Rubella Initiative.org, when one person has measles, 90% of the people they come into close contact with will be infected if they are not already immune. And this just means that if a kid has measles and they come in contact with somebody who has not been immunized, then that person has a 90% chance of getting this disease, which is a very, very high percent. This is one of the most contagious diseases that is out there. Measles terribly weakens your immune system, and you can succumb to many other diseases and infections while you have measles, and it can be fatal. It's very fatal in children. Many children die from measles. Without the protection of vaccination for diseases like measles, polio, whooping cough, and many others, children and other citizens can easily catch and spread these scary diseases. If a child was to catch any of these diseases, it could quickly cause an outbreak. Unvaccinated children are not only a danger to themselves, but to others. When a person is not immune to these diseases, they can easily spread because they are also contagious. If an outbreak were to occur, there could be many consequences and fatalities within our communities. Infants that are too young to be vaccinated can die from these outbreaks. An outbreak can start with one person. An article from publichealth.org states that researchers now link falling immunization rates to recent researches of vaccine-preventable diseases. If people continue not to immunize their children, we will for sure see an uproar of these deadly diseases. These diseases can be very intimidating and scary, but with a mandatory immunization policy, we can fight these diseases and help keep our citizens and children safe. With a mandatory vaccination policy, we would prevent fatalities and outbreaks of these horrifying illnesses. If the children in school and adults who are working with and around children were required to be vaccinated, the U.S. could cut down and almost eliminate these outbreaks. According to the Funk and Wagnall's New World Encyclopedia, immunization remains one of the primary weapons in the fight against deadly diseases. We have the weapons against these monster diseases, so we would be foolish not to take advantage of them. If people will take immunization seriously and not fall victim to the myths that surround immunizations, we can end these infectious diseases once and for all. When people are vaccinated, they do not have to worry about spreading or catching any of these diseases. With a mandatory vaccination and vaccination policies, we can protect our children and communities from fatal outbreaks and these diseases. We have defense techniques right in our hands that other countries do not have. Many people don't realize how blessed we are in the U.S. to have such a great and efficient and safe vaccination protocol. We have one of the safest vaccination protocols that there is, and we have the most vaccinations for diseases here in the U.S. With a mandatory vaccination policy, everyone will have the privilege of feeling safe in their own skin and in their own communities. If people fall into the myths behind vaccinations, such as that vaccinations cause autism or can weaken babies' immune systems, they will put everyone around their children in danger. There are many myths that are misunderstood about vaccinations. The main myth that is misunderstood about vaccinations is the myth about that vaccinations can cause autism. Back in the 90s, there was a study done that said that autism was linked back to the MMR vaccination, which was later thrown out and found that it was untrue, but it has really tainted a lot of people's views and beliefs on vaccinations and has caused a lot of people not to vaccinate their children. This idea is completely false, and there have been many studies to prove this assumption wrong. An article on publichealth.org states that many studies have provided evidence that autism develops in utero well before the baby is born or receives vaccinations. Even though this idea of vaccinations causing autism is untrue, many people fall victim to the lie and let it taint their views on vaccination. Colin Hesse and Emily Rossner state in their article that a significant portion of the population either delays or refuses vaccination protocols for their children. Even the slightest fall in vaccination can cause an outbreak in a community. Even one child that their parent decided not to vaccinate them can infect another person, and then it just goes on and on and on. You would be very surprised on how many people are not vaccinated, that their parents decided not to vaccinate them when they were little, and they could cause an outbreak. It all starts with one person, and people don't realize how many germs and diseases there are out there. And if you're not vaccinated, then it could be you that would start the outbreak. In conclusion, we must take action towards these fast-spreading diseases and take advantage of the health privileges we have here in the United States. There is a growing problem with parents who are choosing not to vaccinate their babies. Children who are not vaccinated are a danger to themselves and to others around them. Without being vaccinated, children are a threat to the communities and can easily cause an outbreak of all of these infectious diseases. With a mandatory vaccination policy, this country can begin to feel safe and protected from all of the diseases that are out there. If we have a way to keep our families and communities safe, then we should take full advantage of that privilege together.